So in today's video, we're going to be comparing the snail and the ant to see which one is better. Alright, so both of these pets are pets you can get from the bug egg, which basically is the rarest egg you can get from the shop right now. So both of these are not exactly easy to get, but they're not like impossible. So these pets are slightly rare, but they actually are a little bit different in rarity. So the snail happens to be easier to get than the ant, just by a little bit. So on rarity, the snail will definitely be a little easier, but it's nothing crazy. It's not like the snail is the hardest thing to get and the ant is the easiest thing to get. Slight difference, but the snail is gonna win on rarity. But let's see what these guys' abilities can do. So basically, the ant and the snail are very similar, and both of them do harvesting related things. So as you can see here, the snail boosts chance to get seeds when harvesting, and just rare plants have lower chance to duplicate seeds. And then the ant over here works very similar, except it duplicates fruit. This extra thing right here they recently added, but this doesn't really matter. So basically this right here, it has an extra chance to harvest fruit. So like when you harvest a fruit, like any fruit in here, it has a chance to duplicate it. And this extra thing right here is for candy blossoms pretty much. Yeah, I don't know what other candy fruit it means besides like everything from the Easter event, but yeah, this one has a 5% chance to do that. And then there's also a red giant ant, but the red giant ant is basically just worst giant ant. So there's no point in the red giant ant if you can get the normal giant ant. So both of my pets right here have about the same age, so they should be about similar. And they actually might have exactly the same age. So the age should not be affecting them much. But if we look at their abilities, the snail has a less chance to work than the ant does. The ant has a 10% chance, while the snail has a, it has a 5% chance. So the snail and the ant are slightly different in percentages, and the snail, I would say, is less effective than the ant because I rarely get duplicated seeds. It's already a really low chance to get duplicated seeds on average, but then with the snail, it doesn't boost it that much. So I would say on abilities, the ant's just gonna win because it also does technically have this second little thing down here where it boosts extra 5% for candy fruits. So for abilities, the ant is probably better, but the snail might have better other things. All right, so both of these pets have no cooldowns at all. It's just based on what like if you're harvesting or not. So if you're not harvesting, they won't work. If you are harvesting, they will work. Let's actually harvest some grapes and see if we can get any of them to work. So, oh look, see, grape right there. That was the ant working, while we could see the snail doesn't work. Let's see if we can get another one to work. Grape, that's ant, and I'm full on backpack space. That's probably because I have other pollinated stuff in my inventory, but let's just sell it. So, okay, we got some money right there, but yeah. So as you can see, both of them have no cooldowns, but they just work whenever you harvest. So as you can see though, that 5% chance is not really helping for the snail. So they both have no cooldown, so I'm just not gonna like count it for any of them, but the ant actually kind of is more effective than the snail. So the thing about the ant is, since it has such a higher chance, it works more often. And if you place down a lot of ants, I'm pretty sure they can stack. So if you place down a lot of ants, it'll work really well, versus if you place down a lot of snails, they could probably also stack, but they're not going to work as well. But the thing is, an extra seed is technically going to be better than an extra fruit. Like this thing doesn't work on event fruits, I'm pretty sure, or event seeds, but it shouldn't work at least. But it basically can give you an entire fruit. So if I'm harvesting grapes over here, I can get an entire grape tree or grapevine instead of just getting an extra grape. But the thing about that is since it can't duplicate event items, you might not want to use the snail over the ant because the snail is just going to duplicate you things that you can get either way. So like, for example, if I go over here to my ember lily back here, you could see it right here. If it were to duplicate this, I would still be able to get it on average. So it's like, I could just get it on average. I could just go to the shop and get it. It will help a little because it's not an easy thing to spawn in the shop, but the ant, for example, there's no way to just get a second of that fruit without harvesting more of that fruit. So the ant might be more effective than the snail because it's just going to give you more, and it's going to end up getting you more money since that extra seed is really low chance. But if you just want to try for extra seeds, the snail might be your better choice right there. So I think the ant is going to also win on effectiveness because the ant works very well. And as you saw right there, it worked like 4 times while the snail did not work once. So the ant worked pretty good. And yeah, I would say that's just about it for their abilities and effectiveness. And the last thing I'm probably going to go over is how like they look, because that's pretty much the last thing. It's pretty much the main thing is how effective they are, which I personally think the ant's more effective than the snail. But if you really want to try for extra seeds, then the ant, or not the ant, the snail is going to be your best bet. And for things like the sugar apple, if it does work on the sugar apple, then that'll be very helpful because the sugar apple is the rarest thing in the shop. So if the snail snail works on something like this, then that's going to help you a lot. But the ant could also help you on something like this. And a good example of the ant working well is if it were to harvest as duplicate of this. So I have this big rainbow candy blossom right here, and it has a couple of mutations on it. Right now it has chocolate on it, but basically if the ant were to duplicate this, it's going to get me a lot more money versus the snail cannot duplicate the candy blossom tree. So the ant is going to get me way more money here than the snail will, because the snail can't even work here. So in general, yeah, I think the ant's just going to be more effective, but for looks, I really don't know, to be honest. Both of them look pretty good, but they also both just look like, I don't know, kind of boring because they're the like least rare thing from their egg. Like personally, I don't really know. You could give the point to either one, but yeah, on looks, I really don't know. It's just preference again, and the looks doesn't really matter. It's just mainly about the effectiveness. So in general, I would say the ant is going to be better than the snail. But if you want to try for extra rare seeds, then the snail might work better. But once again, the snail does not work as well on rarer seeds. So I think in this, the giant ant is going to win out of everything. It's not going to win for rarity only because the snail is easier to get, but it's just a small difference. So I think the ant in general is just going to be much better than the snail. And if you had to choose, I would say use the ant over the snail. Only use the snail if you're trying to get rare seeds. But that's going to be the end of my video. Subscribe to help the channel. Bye.